All right, hello. So we're gonna go ahead and show you after watching the Loomis videos for the center line and stuff. We want to be able to do some quick practice what we've learned. And so I'm just doing my little circle here. The first one's probably a little big because I'm going to try to put 4 on here, but we want to get used to creating, again, some very simple Loomis heads very quickly. This is my circle right there, or pardon me, my ellipse. This is the circle for right here. I'm going to open my ellipse up a little more. I'm just making some decisions. But I want to be very loose about this. So if this is here and that's there, and we said, well, if we've got measured middle, and we're seeing the right side, so this is the flat right side, and this is the front of the face. The ellipse is going to be just in front of there, and I can try to visualize those lines coming across and the arc, and that would put my center line about here. So again, we just want to, again, be really loose with this. Sometimes people get, it's not like we want to ignore everything about Loomis, but we want to, or any construction method. It's not just Loomis, any type of method that we use, because there's a lot of great methods out there. Loomis is just a really good one that I think a lot of people should be at least aware of. But there are others that are much more simple. This is the line where this is the side of the face, this is the front of the face. So again, and we have the lines meet. At this point, this is the corner of the box before they then transition and change direction. I'm slowing down a little bit on this. I wanted to, but just show you just how loose we can make this. This is going to be my quadrant over here. So we have, the 4 quadrants, and the halfway point is usually about as close as the jaw will be. It can sometimes be a little behind this. But in this 4th quadrant, we also have the ear, so I can just put a little ellipse in there for the ear. And so we've got, now again, I should probably be doing this a little darker than this. I'm trying to stay really loose. Now I'm also drawing flat, which is not ideal. And so it's a little challenging here for the recording of this, but it's this idea that, we can just loosely break this out. Neck. Usually the neck is going to come from the furthest ocular cavity. If we kind of do a sweep down, that'll be a good starting place for the neck. This is a thinner neck. If I needed to bulk it up, we just put a little more thickness on it, or something like that. On this side, you might see just a little bit of this shoulder over here, and whereas over here, we'd see a little more of the shoulder. But yeah, we just want to quickly, there's this is my nose line, my brow line, these are supposed to be parallel. These probably aren't quite parallel, but we'll just use our imagination. And then we've got our center line that we went ahead and eyeballed based on the concepts that we were talking about in terms of finding a center line, where we go like, okay, we drop this line, and X marks the spot, find the 2 points, bring the arc. But this should be pretty close to that, pretty close to the center line. And again, this is just it's a way of roughing in the head to get to basically what we call the helmet shape, which is basically the shape of the skull. If we do this properly, we're going to have basically a skull shape that we can then, build the rest of the head around. If we have this is our nose, our brow, and our hairline, we can also, we do half, half, and a half. Give us more landmarks. Halfway between here is going to be the eye line. I think this is a little bit, because it's far from my eye, I can't see it, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this has lengthened. But we'll just say that based on what we've placed here, and the hairline's a little low, and I think the head got a little high. But this is a comp. This is a rough. It's supposed to be done lightly. I'm making it much darker than I would ever do. I keep it really light, like when I was first starting, where it's really light, because I can erase it, because it's just supposed to be a guide. But usually we don't have a guide at all. We're just completely lost on the head. So it's very important, but we then would erase it back and do our modifications. If we then took this in half, we're going to find the bottom. This is the bottom of the ball, but this is the bottom of the septum. for that nose line, take this, divide that in half. Bottom of the lip is going to hit somewhere on there. So now we've got all our different little landmarks. And if we're getting lost, we go, okay, this is my eye, this is my brow, this is my nose. You just put NS, and I could even put BL for ball. This is the nose, and then we could put, you know, septum. This is the lips, hair. You know, we got it all, you know, figured out. And then from there, we can just go ahead and go from an arc from this central point down to the chin, and you know, that's our plane, right? That this right here is the side plane of the head. And if we got under here, we would go ahead and find out that we would have, you know, this is the front, and then this is the far, just a little bit of that far left side, maybe not, because this is a 3/4 view enough that we might not see the left side, so we might just see the front and the right side, which I think is probably more accurate now that I think about it. But this is just, again, a real quick, and this is what we want to do. We want to be able to very quickly create some of these. Let's say we did a portrait, and I said, all right, well, we're going to start with that dinner plate, and then we're going to go ahead, and this is the dais. In half is supposed to be the brow. The bottom is supposed to be the bottom of the ball of the nose. The top is supposed to be the hairline. We're going to bring this down. This person is facing to the right. This distance comes down to about there. This is going to be the ear back here in this lower quadrant right there. This would then be the jaw coming over here. And again, we've suddenly got the helmet shape that we can then use to create a better profile portrait. Again, from this sort of that ocular cavity, we're going to bring a sweep for the neck, bring a sweep here for the back of the neck. I think it needs to come in a little bit, maybe there. So actually, I think this is fine on this side. I think we need to come in on this side. I think that looks better. So again, this is again loosen up. So we just go, is that right? Is that fine? Is that what I'm looking for? If we're doing the nose, again, the nose would project out. This would come in for the glabella. The nose projects out. Nose comes back onto the face. Then we have the muzzle, and the muzzle projects in front of the forehead. Very, very important stuff when we're dealing with the features. And then the chin is it's behind the teeth or the lips, but it's also still in front of the forehead. So again, and I could then bring this from this is where the dais crosses, and bring this to the side. And again, there's our side plane. Now you could also say, well, this is the top plane where the hair line is, and this is the top plane on this side. So this right here is like the crown of the head, as some people call it. This is the side, but this is the far left side. This is the right side. You know, so we can, again, very quickly create the ocular cavity becomes sort of like a bent bean when you're in profile. And we have something, again, that would look like a head. That's what we're looking for, something that looks like a head. And this would go up and over the glabella, and we've got half of the sunglasses, really, or what have you. So that's our profile. So again, we want to be able to do these very, very quickly. I'm going to see if we can. I'm going to do a soft 3/4 now. So again, for this soft 3/4, it's all about how big is the ellipse. So if this is my ellipse, now I mean how open. We're talking about this way, not the height should always be the ellipse is supposed to be 2/3. I think this is a little bit too much, but again, for the sketch, no big deal. If I actually brought this through and did you can turn this into a cylinder, and you'll notice that cylinder, if I put the same ellipse over here, it's going to cut this side. This is a soft enough 3/4 that we actually get a little bit of, we see the flattening that's happening from the cut that's been put on the ball that's around the corner. It flattens out a little bit. This is So anyways, this is going to flatten a little bit because we have what we call a soft 3/4. If I took these two and I divide those in half, and I said, well, actually, that's not half. That's closer to half. But the center line is just going to be just to the left of that, just a little bit, because it's a very soft 3/4. So again, this would come here. This would then go up and over the head, over the crown, and around the back side. This, this is again this is just barely off a front view. So it's a very soft. But we're going to come over here, change direction along this line. Come over here. What's that? Change the direction along that line. Come over here. Now I always have these angles pointing up. It's not always that way. So I'm going to do this last one where we do it the opposite. This means this person is a little lower. Their eye is a little bit lower. So this person is above their head just a bit, or the camera's below just a little bit. We're thinking about the perspective as well. So we have the hairline, we have the brow line, we have the nose line. I think this got a little long, so maybe we need to bring that down. And then we bring this down again for the chin. And then we would just bring this around. Again, this is just it's a construction. We want to do it as quickly as possible, and then we can modify it. If this is our chin right here, again, this chin is not going to be equal. Meaning it's going to be on perspective middle, so there's more of this side than that side as far as that goes. But again, and this would come off of here. I think this got a little wide, so I'm gonna bring this in through here, and then we're gonna come here. But I think you got a little skinny through the chin, so I'm gonna just bring a little more volume through there. So that's all I'm gonna do. But this is this idea that I'm thinking about. This is the ear. The ear is gonna be very foreshortened, so it's gonna be very much an ellipse for that ear. As we've got this, we're gonna bring this through this ocular cavity for the again for the neck. We're not going to see the back side of this because the ear is covering. Then it's going to come out through here, and again now we've got this neck. Now again, if this is a very thick neck, and this because this is drops. If we would be like, well, okay, if this is a thinner person, or if it's a younger person, or if it's someone that's that has softer, or what some people would classically call feminine features, I can't think of a better word at the moment. I'm sure but it's basically just a softer line. It's a thinner line, and it denotes something that classically would have been attributed to a feminine feature. So again, we'll go ahead and bring that around. This comes through here. So again, and again, now I've slowed down to kind of explain what I'm doing. That might be stick out a little too much, that ear, but again, this is just a basic, what some people call an abstract. And from the abstract, we'd then put on the features. We'd modify this, so that's why it'd be light. Because we're like, oh, this person has more extreme cheekbones, or this one has very little cheekbone, or this one has, a softer head, or this one has a rounder face. This one has a face that has a lot, is very much a very rounded face down through here. So it's almost the inverted triangle thing. So this is just the starting point. It's not the end point. And again, we could go and go, well, there's the eye, and then the bottom of the septum, and then we take this in half, and that's the bottom of the lip, or what have you. And we could again use this we could also bring this point from here. That's the side plane of the face. Now we wouldn't see all of this side plane. We'd only see a little bit of it. So, but if this is our chin, and we're bringing this down here to the chin, then we bring this, and this one might disappear, right through there. But we see just a little bit of that left side, because this is it's a very soft 3/4, meaning it's just barely turned from front view. And again, if I want to, I could do the planes of the face too. We'd be like, okay, let's put on the sunglasses. The sunglasses come halfway down between here and the septum, and then it goes up and over, and it's going to go over the bridge of the nose and blah. And there's maybe not a ton of a notch, but just a little bit of a notch, because it's just a very soft 3/4. So maybe this is the notch that we get that's going on there, or something like that. You could go ahead and do that. Now this is these are the again the sunglasses. You could go ahead and do the planes of the face too. Get very comfortable dealing with the planes of the face, so then you could go ahead and again modify it. So again, we're like, okay, well, this is the glabella here, and then from the glabella we would come down we'd come down along the bridge, and then we'd have the underside of the bridge, and then we'd have the wing over here, and we'd have the wing, we'd see a little bit of the far wing, but not much of it, a little bit of the wing there, and again, we would go ahead and have the planes of the face starting to happen here. And you could even go ahead and go, all right, well, let's put on the mouth. We're going to go ahead and, put the mouth on. This is the top lip up here. And, and I'm not even going to worry about too much of it looking like a great lip. I'm just putting something that's a placeholder, a symbol. This is the bottom lip, and so this is the top lip, which is dark, and this is the bottom lip that is more. And this is, if you're more advanced or have done heads before, this is the side plane there, comes around the ocular cavity, comes through there, and then comes through the, through the around the cheek. If you're a little more advanced, well, you can go, okay, and we got, this is going to be about where the eye is going to be, so we'll bring that up. This is going to be where that eye is going to be, we'll bring that up, and we're breaking these into planes. Again, now this would also change direction as it goes up over the crown and up over the crown. And you would go, okay, well, this is a distinct side plane, but then this is the rounded part where you have the frontalis. And all of a sudden this would become, where you'd be like, okay, well, this is here, and then this is changing direction and going there, and that's changing direction and that's going there. And you could put more of the planes on. This is the muzzle, and the muzzle comes around through here. And then you go, okay, and this divides along the philtrum, and this, for the three planes, left, front, right, and then this would come down here, and then, three planes, again, they would change value, three planes for the lower lip, and then you go, okay, this is the two planes here, you got this here, this is a plane, and then that's a plane over there, and you could just keep breaking these down. There's, of course, the side plane here. Again, you could break this down as much as you like. There's this plane here, and so now we're doing the planes of the face as well. Certainly do that. Why not? Why wouldn't you? We could do one more where we're going to do a soft or extreme turn. So let's say we had, this again was our circle. I'm going to speed this one up, but we're going to have a bigger circle because that means it's turned more. As it turns more, the center line projects out more. So this might be the perspective, not perspective middle, but measured middle. And that means perspective middle is going to be all the way out here. This is a really, really turned head. So the center line is getting very close to almost becoming a soft profile. So this would again be our center line. This would be our dais. The dais is very important. This would be the line where it goes from the side to the front. Let's go ahead and act like this is the camera's above. So instead of having the angles where you have angles that are doing this, where we're seeing the top of the box, because this represents a box. So if I've got a box like this and I've got two angles, or in other words, an A, that means I can't see the top. Or in other words, it means that it's low enough that we can't, that we have an angle that's, again, the same sort of idea. We're below this a little bit, so that's why we've got this little A, because we have this like the roof of a house. Let's do it like it's not an A. Let's make it seem like it's a V, which means we're seeing a little of the top, which means your eye is above it, seeing that. And so we could say, all right, well, we're gonna act like this is again more of a V. So we're going to do this, change our direction. Again, we're still thinking of perspective. If you haven't done a lot with perspective, take the perspective class. It'll really help with this basic idea, because we are thinking of the box. This is supposed to be a box right here. And so we're thinking how the box is viewed. Is it viewed from the top, from the bottom, what have you? So again, this is coming over, this is coming over there, this is going over there. These are supposed to be parallel. I can't really tell because of the way I am positioned to these, but let's just assume these are parallel. I have a suspicion that they're not, but that's okay. It's because of the way that I have to, the way I film this, I can't hold it the way I would normally draw. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get a camera in there to see very well. You'd be from one side, which is always, you're going to get lots of distortion if you do that. This is going to come down. I think this is just a bit on the thin side, so I'd go ahead and I would change that. No problem, no harm, no foul. This is the lower quadrant. That's where the ear would be. The ear is turning, so the ear is going to become a more open ellipse. This right here, you're going to have quite the notch for the eye, because again, it's almost getting to profile. And with this, the cheekbone is definitely in front of the head. All right, so this here is our helmet shape, and so again, I've really slowed down because again, I'm explaining this. If I was actually drawing these, again, this is going to be probably just a tiny bit over a little bit more. I'm thinking maybe over here, because again, this is an extreme 3/4, almost going into profile. So that feels about right. So I'm using this as I use this as a guide. But you're like, it's all the way over there. Well, then tuck it in a bit, because again, these are just help guides. And if you're like, well, it feels like this is, or if you're looking at something, it's very easy to go, oh, that was wrong. But if you're not looking at something, again, you have to have drawn it enough that you can go, yeah, well, this doesn't quite feel right. I'm going to change it with A, B, C, or D. But this is my ear right here. This one way across here. I think this is too much. So again, I'm going to pull this over about to there. That's going to pull the ear in to about there, because we're going to be right about where we can start to see just a little bit of this head coming around. We've turned it so much, so we probably should see a little bit of that. So I'm going to go ahead and again, I'm going to change the ear to being right here, so that we can expose just a little bit of this head coming back and going into the. Now, all these seem very, very masculine, with maybe an exception or two. This is really stretched too long, but these are supposed to be sketches, so we're not supposed to worry about them too much. Again, if this is my center line, again, this would come in for the glabella, this would project out for the nose. This is also going to be where the nose is going to probably be in front of that, the chin, and so we're going to end up with something. This is just this little shape here is supposed to be the shadow side of the nose. So we're going to end up with something a little bit like this. This is going to be the ocular cavity disappearing because the nose is projecting in front of it. As we start to go into profile, the nose starts to project out. This would then be coming from behind here, and so forth and so on. Again, if I wanted to make this feel a little less masculine, you'd go ahead and bring in the curves. And so that's how you would. I'm using, of course, some might call it antiquated language, but if you want something to feel just like stronger, harder, firmer, certain things that were many times associated with masculinity, anciently or whatever, bring in the straight lines. You bring in some of the angularity. If you want it to feel more like what we would normally would call feminine. This needs to move over, I think, a little bit. This needs to move over a little bit then. If you need it to be more feminine, well, then you look for the curves. So I think this needed to move over just a little bit. So again, part of this is don't be afraid to mess up, because you can always just, I can move it. And that's what we want to get to. We want to get to the point where we can go, I can move that, no problem, no harm, no foul. This would come in, this would come over here, this would come back, and this needs to be in front of that because it's the muzzle. And there's a point where the muzzle can start to come in front of the cheek, and this is where we're getting that. See how this muzzle, the center line of the muzzle is coming in front of, and in fact, we'd see a little bit of the far side, but not a ton, but this is where you'd have this extreme foreshortening. This tells me that my chin is probably a little bit too wide, and it would change a little bit, whatever. But this is an extreme 3/4 view, and again, we could go ahead and put this on and bring this over for just our basic planes. And then when this would come up and over over the glabella for the eyeglasses through there. All right, so that's sort of the walkthrough. But the way we'd want to do this in terms of the speed. So you want to get used to doing this very, very quickly. And so here's just a real time sort of how quickly do I want to be doing this? And I'd like to be, really, I'm using my whole arm to draw with. I could go ahead and then cut this like so. Here's the middle, go over to a little bit more past that. Again, I could go through the entire, divide it up like the way we showed the proper way, or the very, proper is probably the wrong word, but where we go ahead and drop this, we drop this, and then this would come over, and then X marks the spot, and then find the arc. But once you've done enough, and I would say do, about 20 or 30 of those, but once you've done that, we'll then start doing these where we're trying to be very loose. And so you can just very quickly, put together a Loomis head, as far as this goes. So this is, and a lot of this comes with just having done it, the confidence of having done something over and over again is what, and again, this is not great, but this is enough so I can start to put on the modifications. That's, about that's really quick. We go ahead and put the ear over here. As far as that goes, I was trying to do this a little bit, but it doesn't look like I kind of did it right, because that seems a little too. This should be the softer angle. This should be the more extreme angle, and it's fairly soft because it's not an extreme perspective. These are not extreme heads. This means the camera. We just want the camera a little bit below this, so it's basically can't be a straight line. It just has a bit of a bend, showing that this is below the eye. This has a V. If it was an A, that would say the camera was below. So this means the camera is somewhere, or the person's eyeball is somewhere, down here. So maybe the eye is right here. So this is, that would be if it was an A. This is not with the person's eye down here. This would be that the person's eye is probably up here. Not a big change, but it's where we're trying to at least be aware of the fact that, this is not that they're not the same perspective. There's a little bit different perspective going on. And so this would be this person's eye, again, up here, perhaps. So it's above, so we get the V. But anyways, no big deal. But again, we want to be able to create these as quickly as possible. Again, this is the basics of that Loomis. And again, let's do another one again where I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to go ahead and create, let's say, do a profile. Comfortable enough, I can start kind of in a lot of different ways. There's the profile. Let's do another three. Let's do another 3/4. So again, let's say we did a little 3/4 here. Let's go ahead and do it on this side. And again, this is about there. And this is about the middle. Perspective middle is going to be further over. So maybe right about there. Again, if I didn't know, I could go ahead and break this out very, very formally. But we just want to be very, very quick about these. So that way we can get more into the construction and dealing with the uniqueness of somebody's head, because this is a generic mannequin, or some people call it the abstract, same sort of idea, is that this is a generalization of a head. This is not somebody else, a particular person. This is just the generic idea of how a head is constructed, and from there we need to modify it. So that right there is my head. And again, I could go ahead and put on, I could put together the neck on there and everything else, or what have you. And this is supposed to be the far shoulder. And again, I've got enough information where I could then clean that up just a little bit, but I could start to modify this. And again, I do it very light. This is a little darker. Obviously, I would do this really light so that I could erase it. So I'd be doing it something, you can probably hardly see it, where I'd be like, okay, this over here is going to be my head that I can then erase into and modify and turn it into that person. So you just keep it very, very light. But anyways, practice the Loomis Heads. It'll really help you out, and it'll be great for it'll be great to practice and do all that good stuff. So yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. You guys have a great day. Practice these heads. I'd encourage you to do about 100 of these. Now, not in one day, obviously, but do a page of about 10 of them a week. And then in 2 weeks, you'll have done 100, and it will really help you. Repetition is key to drawing portraits. It's not just, do 2 or 3 of them and that's it. You're going to want to really get used to understanding the Loomis so you can just bang them out very quickly. So anyways, give this a shot. Have yourselves a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye.